What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another week of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. Couple things to talk about this week. Tyler, the Creator, dropped an album called Youre. Okay, I am not the biggest Tyler, the Creator fan whatsoever. You know, I really didn't like his earlier stuff. I definitely recognize like the talent and shit like that. It's just like it wasn't my cup of tea. You know what I mean? Like the super dark, weird. I don't know, weird shit. But his new album is unreal. It's called Youre. Again, I think it came out like 3 days ago. But I'm probably like four passes through it, and it's pretty fantastic. It's definitely super weird. It's definitely like a super produced album, almost like, you know, like a Pharrell meets like Kanye Graduation type, kind of that vein, but like, I don't know, it was so dope. Like this morning I was at the gym and, you know, I'll run and I'll try to put on music. You know, I have to try to put on music, else I fucking hate it. Nothing about me in my life likes running at all. But, you know, I got to lose some fucking weight. So I've been going to the gym and like I try to find music that's like, you know, pump up music. It's usually like my playlist in the morning for running is usually like First Day Out by Jimmy Wapo, Elm Street, Jimmy Wapo, Blue Hunnits with like Wiz, and then it's like a lot of 58s and like weird shit, you know, like Panic at the Disco, like old emo type shit. I don't know, weird stuff gets me in the mood. But today I put Igor's theme. It's the opening track off of this tape, and I just had it on repeat, and I don't know, I felt like I was in like a fucking music video just running, just trying not to be miserable, trying to get a mile in, you know what I mean? The struggle's real getting in shape, but definitely dope, definitely worth listening to. Just take a pass through it. It's not anything like you would expect it to be, I don't think. You know, I've listened to Tyler, the Creator's music, and it's cool, but like, I feel like that this is kind of different. Like, it's super, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just a weird sounding album, but it's dope. Another thing I wanted to talk about, Streets on Carson dropped a menu. Okay, you already know, proud sponsor of I'll Call You Right Back podcast, but Streets on Carson dropped a brand new menu on May 14th, and it's been ripping and a tearing. It's it's all good. You know, you hear it 100 times, I'll tell you 100 more. Everything's good. I had this weird ass burger. It was called an Ande Walla burger, and I can't remember where it's from, but it is like minced lamb, you know, it's there's an egg on there, just wild ass shit. I'll tell you exactly where it is. Ande Walla burger is from Karachi, Pakistan. It's lamb shami kebab, cabbage, cucumber, onion, egg, ketchup, mayo, and a toasted soft roll. And I was like, damn, that sounds fire. So I got it, and you already know it was fire. Definitely good. Definitely go check them out for sure. And what else did I want to talk about? That might be it this week. Yeah, Memorial Day's coming up. It's going to be a nice long weekend, hopefully, for a lot of people. I'm sliding out of work early on the Friday. You already know that. Talked to my boss. I was like, can I get out of here on Friday and go up to my camp a little bit earlier? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. And I was like, damn, that was so simple. You know, like, I'm fortunate to work for the company I work for now because, like, they're not like crazy corporate. And, you know, my last job was fucking insane, where you would have to, you know, put a request in online and wait for people to accept your request, and you're supposed to do it like it's in the manual, like do it 2 weeks out at least, and you're just like, fuck, like so many fucking rules. We're just in a cage, and you're just putting rules on us. Like, Jesus, give us a little freedom. Maybe you'll get a better performance. them fucking stuffy ass offices. Had to get out of there. I'm fortunate for my job now though. But anyway, the reason everyone's here this week, I got a great podcast. I'm sure not a lot of people have heard of her. This is my cousin. Her name's Sam Meyer. And right now she lives in Amarillo, Texas, but she got a wild ass story. She was in the Navy for like a grip of time, and she was like a high up position in like a nuclear part of an aircraft carrier, and this whole conversation is awesome. You know, I love movies. I feel like if people listen to this podcast, they could tell that I love movies, and like that all stemmed from her and her family. You know, my aunt and uncle back in the day had a video store in White Oak, called ET Video. But we talk all about her growing up with like a dad that had a video store and like what that was like. And, she was 7 years older than me. So, I saw a lot of her, like I probably spent more time with Sam than a lot of people in my life. And, but like, I was preparing for this interview and I was thinking about it and I was like, damn, like, she was 7 years older than me. Like I knew about her as far as like a family, like older mentor sibling, you know what I mean? Like besides from my brother, like it was 100% her. She had a crazy influence on my life, but I never really knew like what made her tick. You know what I mean? I never knew what her interests were like. So like, it was cool to be able to talk to her and pick her brain, about how her path, came to be. Like she's in the Navy for 5 years in a high up position, and it's dope to hear about like the aircraft carrier. But once she got done with that, she got a job working at Universal Studios at fucking Harry Potter World. And I'm like, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and I'm like, damn, like that's crazy. So I always knew she worked there, and I was like, damn, that's so sick. But I got to ask her a bunch of questions about it, and it was dope to hear all about that shit. And now she works at this place that's kind of like a smaller version of the Carnegie Science Center that's in Amarillo. I think it's called the Discovery Center, but she just got such an interesting life. It's so sick to like hear about it all, and I was super happy with how this came out, and I know that everyone's going to enjoy it. So without further ado, episode 71 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Sam Meyer.
I gotta use the telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast. It was singing karaoke was
serious.
She was wild. She didn't care at all.
Not at all.
And I mean, to sing the Star Spangled Banner.
No, it was God Bless America.
Or that was.
Yeah.
God Bless
Yep.
America at karaoke is a bold move. It's like, you could sing anything in the world and God Bless America. But then she hopped on again after with some dude and sang a duet.
Yeah, but the duet God Bless America again?
No, it was like some...
It was something else like that.
I didn't hear. I feel like I didn't hear any lyrics to it at all. I feel like it was just like they were just like, oh, and she was in the background like, ah.
She got real serious.
Yeah, super serious. Your dad was cracking me up. He's like, all right, this one's gonna be good. Listen up. I was like,
He
all
gets
right.
so excited about it.
It's we were talking about this. Me and JD were talking about this last night while we were sitting in the outside. We were talking about how me and like my brother and pretty much everyone, we were like, Allison brought up and was like, I thought your dad didn't like me a long time ago. He was like, whenever I first met him, I thought your dad was just really mean. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I definitely thought that whenever I was younger. I was like, I wasn't like afraid of your dad, but I was always just
you can't
like,
read them.
yeah.
You just
I was
don't
like,
know.
you were not going to get nothing from
Yeah.
him. But now, since like me and JD came to the fact, like probably 22 is
Yeah.
whenever I like started appreciating like your dad. And I was like, you just don't like kids. That's all it is.
Well, like last night, Nikki and your wife were like, man, he always says nice to meet you every time I meet him. But
Yeah.
I was like, he's just like that. Like
Yeah.
that's just how he is.
But that's what we were saying. We were like I remember younger, he just did, like, his humor was not
Yeah.
for children. But now everything that comes out of his mouth is hilarious to me.
He used to tell all my friends when they came over, don't have any fun here. But he'd do it super dead serious. So they were all so scared to come to the house. It was terrible.
Super dry.
Yeah, like super dry. He'd be like, no fun here. And we'd be like, Dad, stop. And he's like, no, serious. And I'm like, oh.
It's an interesting. He's definitely an interesting guy. So like, I wanted to talk to you about a bunch of shit. Like, I feel like your lives were definitely super interesting because the first thing I remember from you guys is the video store. So you guys owned a movie store. Do you remember that like pretty well?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know what age I was, but I remember Dad buying it, and then just, man, we were there.
It was
all
a
the
video
time.
store, and he bought it.
Yeah, it was a video store, and he bought it out.
Yeah.
So it got the name, the movies, everything. And the first, you probably would never remember this, but I remember the first movie he bought there was Tremors, and he bought like 20 freaking copies. And this was before Blockbuster, so like we had like one copy of every movie.
Yeah.
And he bought like 1 million copies. I'm pretty sure it was Tremors. So we had like these copies of Tremors always, like they stayed forever.
What a movie to have a bunch of copies
Right?
of. That was like one of the better of the shitty B movies. I think they're making a remake where Kevin Bacon looks like he looks old, but
He's old.
yeah, I mean he's old, but like the movie, it doesn't look bad.
No.
It looks better than a lot of the other remakes. But so like if you had to guess, what age do you think you were?
I would say late elementary. So
yeah, because like if I was there, how old are you now?
I'm 36.
Okay, so
I'm 7 years older than you.
Yeah,
because I remember the day you were born.
7 years older than me. So if you were in early, because I remember it like a little bit, so I
Yeah.
had to be super young.
Well, you used to be there with us a lot.
Yeah, because like your parents, I probably spent more time with your mom
Yeah.
than like my parents whenever
Yep.
I was younger. I mean, like you guys babysat me all the time.
Yeah.
So that movie store was like, I feel like that was like a pivotal part in my life growing up.
Yeah.
Just because like that was like the first exposure to where, I mean, my brother definitely got movies.
Yeah.
And that just like trickled downhill to me.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember JD convinced him to do video games, to rent video games after a while, just so that he could have more video games, I think.
Yeah. So like, were you guys like, you probably weren't old enough to work there, but like,
Oh, we worked.
yeah.
I remember
guess.
running the register and talking to customers. And actually, me and Dad were talking about this last night. That's where I got all my customer service. I've worked in customer service a lot. And like, I'm very like, please and thank you to customers, do what
Yeah.
the customer wants. And all the people that I work with now probably think I'm a nutbag because I'm just like,
Yeah,
you
you
take
got
care of the
exposed
customers.
early.
Yeah. So
Now, what like you said you mostly had one copy of every movie there?
mostly. There was like a couple we had more than one.
Because like I
especially
don't
new
remember
movies.
too much of like the layout of it. I remember some of the cardboard cutouts.
Yeah.
And I remember like coming in to the door and right to the left being like that movie wall, and I remember that. But it's
I think
still
Dad
vague.
made all that. It was the metal ones, remember? And
Yeah.
me and my dad like pop riveted all that stuff.
So whenever he bought this movie store, it came with all them movies pretty much,
The ones that he had, yeah.
and he would just buy what else he would
Mm-hmm.
want and add them in there. Wow, ET Video. And how long did he have that?
Till Hollywood Video came, or Blockbuster. I can't remember which one was the nail in the coffin, but it was probably till I was almost in high school.
Oh, that long?
Yeah, he had to go a while. I was well into middle school, I think.
Oh, wow.
It's hard to remember.
Yeah, I definitely I couldn't even try to like zone in on a date because like I was trying to last night while I was thinking about all this stuff, but it was such like a I don't know, it was a wild time.
Yeah.
Like my movies that I love are absolutely from you guys. Like the Monster Squad, I would have never watched that if it wasn't you guys. But your parent, like your whole family has been in like crazy. You're cinephiles.
Yeah. Oh, Dad. Yeah.
Like-
People would call him in the middle of the night and like ask, "Oh, who had the best picture in 1926 or whatever?"
Yeah.
It was always calling him.
And the same thing with JD. It's
Yeah.
like freaks just always like seeing these movies. JD was like, Oh, I saw Avengers. I spent 12 hours watching
Yeah.
Avengers already this week. He was like, I saw it 3 times. I'm seeing it the 4th time tomorrow. And I'm just like, geez.
Well, he's got the AMC Movie Pass. I just found this out. He still uses the AMC Movie Pass, so he gets like 3 movies a week for free.
Yeah, that's
So-
not bad at all.
No.
And he said that you could use that for like 3D
Yeah.
and like do all the
Him and Matt went to the nice one today. They went to like Dolby or whatever.
yeah
Whatever the
that
nice
that
one
theater
is.
is insane. It really, really is. That's definitely a cool start to like. That's a cool start to
Yeah.
life. You guys always had. I remember you always had like cool ass toys, and I remember the pool at your house
Yep.
because like the house on Pearl Street was like where everyone like
Everyone
gathered.
always. Yep.
And it's bizarre to think about that because I don't remember a lot of it, but like random memories,
Yeah.
I remember like vividly. Like I remember you had this Nickelodeon drop thing
Yeah.
that it would like shoot your silhouette on
Yep.
there. I remember that for some reason, but I remember that house was like. I remember I got a weird vibe from that house.
Yeah.
Whenever I was
my
younger.
mom will tell you to this day that it was haunted.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. And JD will too.
Have you ever had experience there?
Not really, but like I would have blocked it out because I'm a big baby. Like,
Yeah.
I would have been such a baby about it. I would have blocked it out, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean the attic up there was creepy.
We did have one night, me and JD were home alone, back when you can leave kids home alone.
Yeah.
And both of our parents were working, and we heard this pounding, like boom, boom, boom. And we start freaking out, and we're like, our living room was huge. I don't know if you remember, but we were sitting back to back, like freaking out completely. And something's upstairs, like scratching and pounding and all this stuff. So we call our dad, we make him come home because he was mad. He was at work.
Yeah.
And when he was DJing at the Lionheart. And he came home and he's annoyed that he has to come home. And then he heard the pounding himself and freaked out a little bit, I think. So we were like in a cartoon, like sneaking up the stairs, trying to figure out where all this pounding was coming from. And we finally get to the top of the stairs and he opens that attic door that was right at the top of the
Yeah.
stairs. And our cat came flying out of the attic.
Okay.
So we were so terrified, but it was just a creepy house.
Yeah, it was a bizarre house. It was huge though. I
Yeah.
remember it being huge, and I remember the living room, and I remember the kitchen, and I remember the back porch, and I remember your parents' room,
Yep.
and like I just remember how that all. I remember you had a water bed.
Yeah.
Like
Because I never wanted to sleep by myself because it was such a creepy house.
Yeah.
And they thought that if I had the same bed as them, that I'd be okay with it.
I guess that logic works.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But that house, I mean, I understand why it was haunted because it was, my dad grew up there. Like his grandfather
was
had
it?
it. Yeah. And they added on to it and all that stuff. So it'd been in my dad's family forever.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. And I drove past it not long
It
ago.
looks rough.
Yeah, it looks rough. It definitely looks rough. I mean, that whole area up
Yeah.
there looks rough now. Like whenever you were living up there, was it pretty all right there?
Yeah, it was awesome when we were there. It didn't get bad till after it started to get bad before we left. But like we used to run the streets like crazy people. You know how it was. We'd be up on the top street,
Yeah.
just riding our bikes up and down the hill all the time.
I think we were fortunate to have like such a big group of kids that
Yeah.
were all in like similar ages. It kind of ranged from everything because Josh was 5 years younger
Yeah.
than me, and the oldest JD's 7 years older than, or 8
JD
years
was born
older.
in 81.
Yeah, so 9 years
Yeah.
older. Jeez, that's wild. So in high school, I remember you were always into you guys all you played sports.
Mm-hmm.
I remember JD played sports, but I don't remember anything I didn't know that your parents were in the military.
Yep.
And I was thinking about this last night. I was like, oh, I didn't realize it whenever I was younger, but whenever you were in school, did you have any idea that you were going to join the military?
When I was young, I remember the first time I ever thought about it, my dad was talking about, we saw something about the Naval Academy on TV.
Yeah.
And playing sports your whole life, that camaraderie, that feeling
Yeah.
of being part of a team. We saw something about it on TV or something, and Dad talked about it. My dad loved being in the Army. He tells crazy stories and
Yeah.
all that. So that was just something early on that I was like, hey, that would be that's up my alley. And then you go to school and everybody's like, you got to go to college. You got to go to college.
Yeah, everyone just pushes it in your head.
And then I saw JD go to college, and he's the smartest guy I know. And he took 6 years without a degree. So it was what am I going to do? What am I going to go get in debt and pick a field? I was 18. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was
Yeah.
completely out of it. So it was July. Like I was all set to go to Pitt. I was like, I had my deposit, I had my roommate, everything. And I told my dad, I was like, I can't do this. Like there's no part of me that wants to go to school.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, well, do you have a plan? And I said, yeah, I think I want to go to the Navy. And he's like, well, you can go, but you have to talk to the Air Force, Army, and the Navy. And I was like, what about the Marines? He's like, you're not joining the Marines. You'll go to school. So we went down and talked to the recruiters and stuff. And like, it was just, I knew it. Like I knew that was.
Well, what made you choose them out of all the branches?
Well, I almost joined the Army, but I was too fat. So I had to reevaluate and either lose a lot of weight or you lose a little weight. And the Navy had the nuclear program, which was good for me. I mean, it was going to give me a whole path. It wasn't just going to be 6 years. It was going to be the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So it just made sense.
Now, whenever you were in school, have you had any other idea of like something that you wanted to do?
When I was going to go to Pitt, when I first picked it, I was going to do physics major with a minor in photonics. Like I remember going down to Pitt and like talking to the guy and like I was into it. I loved physics.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the heck I was going to do with that, but I loved it.
Yeah,
so.
It was cool. I remember I loved physics too, like all the incredible machine type stuff.
Yeah.
Like that was always a cool class.
And physics made sense because you saw all of it. Like chemistry is freaking made up. Like two chemicals together making some bullshit, like that didn't make sense to me. But physics, you saw all of it. So
That's a good
sense.
point. I never thought about that. Now, because so what was your title in the military? I mean, in the Navy.
So when I got out, I was Electricians Mate First Class.
Electricians Mate First Class. So like you had no. So whenever you joined the military, do they ask you like what do you want your focus to be?
Yeah. So you take a test. It's called the ASVAB.
Yeah.
And your score on that, it's not an aptitude test, but it gives them an idea on where you can go. And if you score high enough on the ASVAB, it opens the nuclear program. And anybody that goes through the nuclear program will be like, oh, we're the top 10% of all the military. No, that's fucking stupid. Like, you did well on a test. That doesn't make you smart. So, but yeah, you have to score so high. And then once you get into the program, you kind of get to pick to be a mechanic, an electrician, or an electronics technician. And it's kind of a crapshoot based on what they need, but they do take what you want into consideration. And I definitely wanted to be an electrician.
That's what you wanted to do?
Yeah.
Why? How did you decide that?
Dad did that before the video store way back in the day.
Okay.
He did electrical stuff at Westinghouse.
Yeah, I never knew how you fell into that, like the nuclear type shit.
The nuclear stuff was just the hardest thing to do, so obviously that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And the electricity stuff, like I'd always been messing around with stuff with Dad, putting in car radios, like all the electrical stuff. I
remember you guys had that circuit board game.
That was the best.
Yeah. Do you remember what that was called?
It was like 101 electrical projects or something like that.
Yeah.
And it had the little springs on it.
Yeah, I remember that so much.
Cool.
It was like, so it was like this little board and it had colors on it, I remember. And then it had like a bunch of springs that you could pull the spring back, stick a wire in and connect it to different connections and like do different things with that.
It had like lights and sirens. And
And it did certain things with however you connected. I remember that too. So weird.
It's weird what you remember.
Yeah, I remember them springs because I remember I would just flick them springs because like I didn't know what else you were doing.
Yeah, that's where it all got started. That board right there, I loved it.
Yeah, that's it's always because I don't know anything to do with it, and like obviously like my brother is pretty heavy into the electrical end of it, and I think that had something to do with it too. I remember us having one too, but I don't know shit about it, so it's always been interesting to me. And like you, so first, what was your title again?
Electricians Mate.
Now, what was like the rank you were?
So that would have been, I was an E6 when I got out. So the Navy does it different than any other.
Yeah, how does
branch.
that rank? Like, what is that?
So you start off the very first day, you're an E1. You're typically you're a seaman recruit.
Yeah.
And then as you move up, E2 is a seaman apprentice, E3 is a seaman, and then you get to petty officer third class, petty officer second class, petty officer first class, and then up. You have a specialty. That was my electrician's mate, was my specialty.
Yeah.
So that takes the spot of petty officer. So technically I was a petty officer, but they always call you an electrician's mate instead of a petty officer.
Wow. And
so when people like talk to me, like above or below, when they addressed me, they said petty officer Faye.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Now, whenever you're in boot camp and shit like that, how crazy was that experience to go to boot camp? I feel like I would be terrified of it.
The thing with boot camp is where's your brain? Like, where's your mindset for why you're there? Are you there to get your college paid for? You're probably not going to have a good experience.
Yeah.
If you're there just because you want to be there and you're happy to be there, dude, I was so fucking bad at boot camp. I'm not going to lie to you. I was terrible. I couldn't march. I couldn't stay in step. I could barely shine my boots. I used to trade off with people and like iron their stuff so they would shine my boots.
Yeah.
I was so bad at boot camp. So like I had no military bearing. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Terrible at it. But I wanted to be there and I was happy to be there. So you just kept plugging along.
Was the physical aspect of it like crazy?
I was actually in better shape my first day of boot camp than my last day.
Really?
Yeah, because it just wasn't. Because I had to lose a lot of weight, just to get to boot camp.
Yeah.
So I was running every day, and so my first day at boot camp, I was never thin. I was never, we come from the same stock. I was not little ever in my life.
Yeah.
And so that first day at boot camp, I went in and I was still 100 and I think it was 160 or 168 pounds. I can't remember, but I didn't look in shape. But I was the fastest girl in my boot camp division.
Wow.
So all the RDCs were like, all right, whatever. And then by the end of it, I was slow because we just didn't run as much as I did before I went.
Yeah. And how long is boot camp?
It was 8 weeks when I went, but I don't know they changed it recently.
Now, do you learn like is it like do you learn part of your focus in boot camp
No,
or is it okay?
boot
I didn't
camp
think
is
so.
Just Navy.
Yeah, and like learning the rules and
You're learning
the
all
way
sorts
things
of stuff.
do.
What pissed me off though is they didn't teach you like tying ropes or like navigating by the stars or any of that shit that you would think a sailor would know.
Oh yeah, I thought that so like what was it mostly? It was just like how to like dress, how to
how to
march
tie your,
and all that.
you had to like and a lot of it was just conformity. Like it was teaching you how to conform.
Yeah.
Through most of boot camp, that's what it was.
And you ended up now after you get done with boot camp and get through all that. How do they decide like where you're going to go and what you're going to do?
You decide that before boot camp. Like you sign your contract before you go to boot camp. So I knew I was going to be a nuke before I went to boot camp.
Yeah. And did you know because you obviously ended up on an aircraft carrier? Yeah. Did you know that you were going to do that?
Well, I did at the time because the only two nukes are aircraft carrier or submarine, and at the time girls didn't go on submarines.
Why is that?
I did a lot of maintenance on submarines on my shore command. It's fucked up. It's such a because it's close quarters. Like the line you stand in for food goes through the berthing area. So like while you're standing in line for food, somebody's sleeping next to you. So it's just one of those things that everything's so.
Yeah, you probably couldn't have like men and women. You can't probably split that off into the way
there's
it's
no
supposed
way.
to be.
And I think now they're only officers on subs, I want to say. I'm a terrible sailor. I don't follow any of it, but I think there's women officers, but officers are a little different because they get a little more privacy and stuff like that. So it's not the same.
That's interesting. Now, the aircraft carrier, that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever got to do.
Yeah.
Like, what was that? We were allowed to come down and see you?
Yeah, I could give, like, since I was stationed on board, I could bring people on and, like...
That was like a family weekend or some shit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. You came down for one of the underway, right? We went underway?
Yeah, we went out and they launched planes and then they landed on there. And like that, to watch a plane take off on an aircraft carrier and watch a plane land on an aircraft carrier was like the most insane thing ever. Because how long is it?
It's as long as the Empire State Building. So the Empire State Building could lay down on an aircraft carrier.
Okay, yeah, because like I mean like I never really like had any point of reference on like how big it would be, but it's like insane.
You can't
big.
Imagine like
it was insane big. It's like a city.
Yeah,
it's like just a movable city. Yep. So like while you're on there, what are your main like what is like a everyday life for someone that's on there?
Like Groundhog Day. I mean,
it's just every day over and over.
Every day you just wake up. You stand watch. You stand a lot of watch, which you're basically in the. For us, it was in the engine room, and it's fucking hot. It was if we were in the like overseas, like in the hot water.
Yeah,
it'd be 120 degrees in the engine room.
Oh, really?
And you're just down there for like 5 hours at a time, just fucking sweating your ass off,
making sure shit's not like messing up.
You're watching. You had to take logs every hour, and you're checking temperatures and pressures and levels and making sure nothing's fucking destroying itself. Because,
Now-
I mean, it was serious. We did have a nuclear reactor sitting beneath our feet.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, what is it like to try to like work your way up in the ranks? Like, is it do women have? I mean, I don't even know how to say it. Do women have equal?
So
You know what I'm trying to say?
yeah, I get you. It's different because there were no women nukes until 1996, and I joined in 2001. So there were only women doing what I did for 5 years when I started.
Yeah.
So when I got to the ship, there was, I'm trying to think, there was like maybe 6 women in all my department. My
Yeah.
like 500-man department, there were 6 women.
6 women out of 500
Pretty sure
people.
it was 6.
Jesus.
It's been a minute. And then, so I got there and they put them all in one division. Like they sent them away to like the admin division, which we called RT.
All women?
All the women went down there. So
Okay.
it was like I got there and there was one other girl in my division, and she had gotten there maybe 2 or 3 months before me. So it was just different. And it's like any other workplace. Like you're gonna have people that want to be there and want to work hard and want to do their job, and you're gonna have people that are just happy being there. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So if you came in and you did your job and you did it well, you could move up. It's pretty easy. But if you came in and you just wanted to do your job, then you just did your job. You did your 6 years and you were done.
Yeah.
I couldn't just do my job, so I moved up pretty quick.
And it was like it was like, did you experience any any pushback for
of
you moving
course.
up?
Yeah, I mean, I remember there was one guy. We ended up being really good friends and working really well together. But early on, I told him to do something, and I wasn't super high up or anything.
Yeah.
I just was the senior person in the room.
Yeah.
And they needed somebody to go do stretcher bear, which was a stupid job, but you had to
What
do
is
it.
that?
So when we did drills, we needed people to like carry stretchers or to
Okay.
shore up stuff. So it was just a drill, and somebody had to go carry around a stretcher for a while.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey man, go do that." And he called me a bitch and like stormed out and threw a fit.
Oh, really?
And I didn't say anything at the time, but I told like a couple of the guys that were above me.
Yeah.
And they made sure that didn't happen again. Like it wasn't okay. So I think I was lucky in that I had people to watch my back. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like I was
sure.
never alone.
That's good then.
And even as a kid, I had an older brother. I had Matt, who was a year younger than me. Like I always had people around.
Yeah, well, you were also like, I mean, you were also pretty like a pretty strong woman. Like I feel like that you were never just like a pushover about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I did what I had to do all the time. But I was also like, I'm such a weird, awkward person, especially emotionally,
Yeah.
that I don't think I always get when people are being fucked up to me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
You
if
try to
people
see the
treated
good
me
in
bad,
people?
yeah, I'm super rose-colored glasses. And even if you treat me bad, I probably don't notice it.
Yeah. Now, to be on that ship and to do what you're doing, like have you, while you were on there, how many years?
I was on the ship for 5 years.
And now, was it routinely pretty much like all just like Groundhog's Day, or like did you have like do I remember you going out? Did you get deployed?
I did 2 deployments.
Okay, yeah. Did I remember one in United Arab Emirates?
Yeah, so we stopped a lot of places, but United Arab Emirates we stopped routinely because we could pull shoreside. So aircraft carrier being what it is, a lot of times you have to park out in the ocean and take ferry boats to land, even when we're in a port call.
Yeah, it makes
United
sense.
Arab Emirates had a base where we could just pull up, and it was called the Sandbox. So it was like they had a Burger King there, they had like KFC, they had all these like Americanized things.
Oh, wow.
In this like one little area, is a Marine base. So they had all these things that we could just get off and basically drink ourselves stupid and eat a bunch of American food for 2 or because a lot of times we couldn't leave that base.
Yeah.
Like,
How long is the deployment?
well, they were 6 months, but they're getting longer now. They're going to like 9 months now.
Geez, so just 6 months of you out there on the boat?
Yep,
Just
driving in circles.
Wow.
And it was the same basic schedule every day. Like you got up at this time, you went to, we called it quarters, which is where you like all met in the morning and talked
Yeah.
about stuff. And you did your maintenance, and then you stood your watch. And I was typically on what we call drill team. So in the middle of the night, we'd wake up and run pretend fire drills and pretend lots of different
to get people
casualties.
like
practice.
practice.
To practice.
Ah, that's
so I did a
crazy.
lot of that. I was on the drill team a lot. So I was like training people, okay, there's a fire, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So
Now, it wasn't co-ed like sleeping quarters there?
no, but it wasn't like boys weren't allowed in the berthing.
Yeah. I mean, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it was
like,
all women in mine. There was 35 beds in my berthing.
Now, compared to women to men on that ship, what do you have any idea of what the comparison would be?
I don't know numbers, but I would guess it's a lot to a little.
Like how many people were on a boat at a time?
About 5,000. So
shit, that many?
Yeah, ship's crew was about 3,000, and then we brought an
Jesus.
air wing on for a deployment, which was about 2,000 people. So all in all, on an underway, it was about 5,000 people.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
what do you guys do? Like obviously you're doing work most of the time, but
Yeah.
like if you're on this boat in the water and you're just waiting to go back to work, like what the hell do you do for fun?
Watch movies,
Yeah.
read books.
I think I do remember that. I think I remember
Yeah.
all the DVDs that
Yep.
you had.
Oh yeah, you took the books as DVDs because
Yeah.
you could fit a bunch of them.
Yeah, I think I do remember that now that you say that.
Yeah.
Was there like on the boat, is there anything like is there any sort of like fun thing? Like is there a place to eat? Is there like a movie theater or anything?
No
like?
movie theater. We had our like a hangout in our berthing. Every
Yeah.
berthing had like a little place to hang out, so we'd watch a lot of movies there. But what we did, unfortunately, it was 24 hours, so there were people sleeping all day. So if you threw a movie on in the middle of the day, chances are you're waking somebody up. So that was kind of the weird part of that. We had a library.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a library,
that's
but
cool.
I never went up there. It was really far away.
Yeah.
So I just spent most of my time watching movies and reading. I read a lot.
Wow. I feel like it would be nuts to be on there. What's the food on there like? Was it all right?
No.
No.
I mean, it's
No.
it's terrible. We used to call them water burgers, like when we had burgers, because
they
it would
like
be a big tray.
rehydrated or whatever.
They would be soaking in water so they didn't dry out. So there was just like this big tub of water with like a warm hamburger in it, and it was the eggs were all the like eggs in a carton. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they would like make the scrambled eggs from a carton. It was
Jeez.
just, and it was always something. But you're feeding 5,000 people at a
Yeah,
time.
for sure. That's
you're not
understandable.
exactly getting. And produce was only fresh once a week, so we would get on Saturdays. I think typically we would pull alongside another ship and we would get new stuff. So like on Sundays, bananas
didn't
were
think
really
about
good,
that. I
but
didn't
like
think about
by the
that.
next Friday, bananas were shit. You didn't
Yeah.
eat them. So
That makes sense. Now, I feel like what about while you're in the Navy, are people getting drug tests all the time?
Yeah.
Like there is drug tests all the time?
yeah. Me
That's-
and Anna just had this conversation last night because she was in the Air Force, for a
Yeah.
long time. And I had to get a drug test for a job I applied to. And I went in because I've done probably 300 drug tests.
Yeah.
And you always pee in a cup. And the Navy does it where they have to see the pee leave your body into the cup. So you have a person literally standing a foot away from you watching you pee.
yeah.
So to me, it was like nothing. I was just like, okay, here you go. Because it had been so long. But when I went to get this drug test just a couple months ago, they took my hair. They cut a big fucking patch of hair out of the back
really?
of my
A
head.
hair test?
I was so pissed. I was like, can't I just pee in a cup? Like, let me just give me the cup.
no, people could
I'll
beat
be in
that.
it all day. I know. They took so much hair though, man.
What was it? What kind of job was it for?
I was at Owens Corning as an electrician.
Oh, okay. So
So-
that makes sense. Now, you said that whenever you would get off and like you would dock at places.
Yeah.
Now, you would just how long would you be able to be off of the boat?
It depended on like a lot of stuff, but we'd typically only go to a port for like 4 days.
Okay.
And we were in a 4-section rotation. So every 4 days you had to come back and do like stand watch and all that. So you had to be on the ship on your duty days, what we called it. But you could go out. There's a certain time in the morning, a certain time at night. It was usually like 8 to 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
You had to be back on by 10 unless you put in a special request to have an overnight. And that was all sorts of fucking annoying and stuff.
I bet. You were okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So now we bring this up. Yesterday on the way home, you were telling us that you had a friend that had like some connection, and
Yep.
you guys had tickets for the Grammys.
Yeah.
And I never heard that story before, but you weren't allowed to go because of
Yeah,
the
needs
Navy.
of the Navy. They we were underway, and they told us that they needed us to be on the ship to go underway, so we couldn't go.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was so fucking wild, man. And that was my friend Jen. She's the most badass person I know. She's awesome, but yeah, she always had like some crazy shit going on.
What happens like if you're sick? Is there like a call in? Like, can you call off sick while you're on the
you
boat?
have to go to medical. So if you're
Okay.
sick, you have to go to medical, which in and of itself, nobody wanted to do. She had to go stand in a big line, and like everybody's walking by. There's one time I had a urinary tract infection.
Yeah.
And I went and stood in the line, and like I'm in the hallway. You don't want to tell everybody walking by you have a urinary tract infection.
Yeah,
like, just
sure.
leave me alone. But everybody kept walking by. Oh, are you okay? Is everything okay? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. Well, somehow I got around that I was pregnant. Everybody thought I was pregnant.
Really?
So like my boss ended up comes and finding me at medical. I'm like, is everything okay? What's going on? I'm like, dude, just leave me alone. Like, I just want to go to the doctor and be
my
left
God.
alone. But nope, you stood in this line in the middle of everything.
Wow. So everything was pretty. I'm sure it wasn't that private.
No, no privacy.
Yeah. Wow. It's such a weird, like, bizarre thought to like live on that boat and
Yeah.
like kind of be involved with all that.
It's not like anything you could ever imagine.
What was it like being like? Because you were decently high up in there.
Yeah.
Now, you're obviously, if there's a lot of men compared to women on that boat, you're obviously managing a lot of men. Like, was that like a positive experience for you, or were you like?
I learned a lot. So it's different, right? And because I told you I was the only girl,
Yeah.
they put all of the girls to work for me, right? Because none of the guys wanted to yell at them. They were all, plus every girl on that show would be like, I started my period, can I go back to sleep? And I'd be like, no, fuck off, go to work. You know what I mean? Whereas the guys, they didn't know how to deal with that. They're like, okay, yeah, go ahead and go lay down, you know?
Yeah.
So before
That's
me,
funny.
all the girls would go hide in berthing because nobody wanted to go down there and kick them out. And then I got there, and as I got higher and higher, other divisions realized that I could go kick their females out too, you know? So
Yeah.
I'd be down there just screaming at people all the time because it makes us all look bad. And
Yeah, for sure.
I regret this a little bit as I'm an adult, but at the time, I would tell people, like, look, a guy shows up and he gets the benefit of the doubt. Like, they're going to be like, okay, this guy's okay, we'll put him to work. When a girl shows up, they automatically think you're going to be a shitbag and not do your job.
Yeah.
So the girls had to work harder just to get to that level playing field. So I was always harder on them because
Yeah.
I was like, listen, you need to put a good face out there for the person that comes next. I don't know if I should have necessarily been harder on the females, but I definitely was.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense though. I mean, it probably made you like gain more respect.
Yeah, I think by
quicker.
the time I left, we were getting to a more level playing field.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure it was because it's wild. I didn't know that it was like the first one was in '96, so you were only a few years after that.
Yeah.
Probably an interesting experience. So you ended up being in the Navy for how many years?
I was in there 8 years.
8 years
A little
total.
less. Yep.
Jeez, and you went all over.
All over. England, Greece, Italy.
What was your favorite place to travel?
I liked England because they spoke English,
Yeah.
which makes a difference. Like, you go to Italy and you're struggling for bathroom and stuff.
Oh, I bet.
Italy was beautiful though. I liked Florence a lot. The UAE was awesome too. Like, it was such a different experience. Like, how many people go over to the Middle East and like they had a gold souk, which was like this street where everything was like they sold gold. So all the
really?
windows were just fucking gold. Yeah, I bought a little block of gold. I have it in my safe at home just because you
Wow.
could. It was cheap, you know.
Yeah. Jeez. That's pretty crazy. Did you ever have any like scary times on that boat with like anyone ever like was there
It was always kind of scary. You detached a lot.
Yeah.
But like if you let yourself think about it, like if we called it battle stations. So if shit hit the fan, you went to your battle station, and
What was your battle station?
it changed occasionally, but typically I was in we called it switchgear, which is where we controlled all the electrical stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So typically I was a switchgear supervisor. So I just sat in there and made sure nothing went too terribly wrong. But when I was early on, I was like a phone talker, or we call them throttlemen. The people that, you know, that little thing on the bridge where they ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, yeah.
The person down in the engine room that actually controlled the shit, that's what we did. So
Okay.
it's like a big ass wheel you have to spin and stuff. It's pretty cool. But so I changed over the years. But battle stations, you just sat there for hours until it was over. And if you really let your brain start thinking about it, like at that moment in time, that's about as unsafe as you can possibly be. Like,
Is the battle stations.
is the battle stations. Yeah, because that's shit could hit the fan at any second and you need to be ready for
There
it.
was times where you had to like where it was like what is it, like alarm go off and you have to
Yeah.
get on there?
Well, they do an announcement. It's like battle stations, all hands man your battle stations. And they talked about like everyone going forward on the ship used the starboard side, everyone going aft on the ship used the port side, and you only went up and down certain stairwells. Like, it was a whole thing.
Try to keep order.
Yeah, keep an order, because everybody on the ship is moving. It's not like just one department's moving. It's everybody on the entire ship moving.
Yeah, like 5,000 people.
Yeah.
And if there was no order, people would be chaos.
Yeah, you'd be going
there was
left and
100
right.
people coming up one stair, and they were trying to go down
Yep.
at the same time. Oh, I didn't even think about that,
Yeah.
like how important that
And
would
like
be.
we do man overboard drills all the time. Man overboard drills,
Oh,
every
shit.
person on the ship had to get counted. So you had to go past your office
Yeah.
and like they had to physically see you. So, and that was another one where forward, starboard, aft, port, up the odd number stairwells, down even number, like the whole thing. It was all categorized. So
Yeah.
like you had a path everybody took, and you just jumped in and went.
Did like how high is the deck of the boat off of the water? It's pretty high,
like
right?
25 or 30 feet, I think.
Did
the
anyone
flight
ever
deck.
fall off?
No, but we had a kid fall asleep in the bilge when they did a man overboard drill
So
and not hear
they
it.
thought he probably
They
fell
thought
off.
they couldn't find him for hours.
Oh,
And
shit.
finally he like woke up and crawled out. Man, he was fucked. He was in so much trouble.
Yeah, like what kind of punishment do you get in?
That one I don't know what they gave him.
What are they like making run and shit like that?
No, they take money. They can take your
shit.
your rank away. They can do a lot of stuff.
Oh, I guess because it like throws a wrench in the whole entire thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow. So, but you've never had there was no one that ever like attacked the boat or anything like that?
Actually, Greenpeace attacked us one time. We were
I don't know what that is.
Greenpeace is they have, I don't want to say they're the worst people ever, because they have good ideas. Like they want the earth to be around, and they want us to take care of the earth.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes they're a little
crazy.
So we were an aircraft carrier, and they got into like a little life raft, like motorized life raft thing, and like came at the ship, and they announced, hey, turn around, because we don't know what they are. Like,
Yeah.
we couldn't tell they were Greenpeace at the time. We just saw a boat coming towards us. They could have bombs. It could have been a suicide mission. They were going to try to blow
for
us
sure.
up. So they start like, hey, you have 3 seconds. Hey, and then they man the 50 cals, and
Oh,
they're like, hey,
shit.
turn around. And then they fired the 50 cals. They didn't fire like at them, but like
Yeah,
near
warning
them.
shot.
Man, they got that warning shot and turned the fuck around.
Oh, I bet it would
Gone.
be insane. Wow. Now, oh, geez. That's crazy. The
It was-
boats were the crazy. I mean, the planes going on and off
Yeah.
were just insane.
I got to fly off once. I got once on an airplane and once on a helicopter.
Oh, you got on an airplane?
Yeah, and flew. It was so terrifying. Like,
Oh, my God.
because you
I
have
bet.
to like lean forward because of the launcher, the way it launches you, and you get off the edge and you fall. You don't go straight into the air like
Yeah.
a regular airplane. You fall and then come up. So you feel every inch of that. Like you feel that fall and you feel it come up, and man,
Jeez. And a helicopter, too.
yeah.
That would be cool. I feel like a helicopter would be super
Yeah.
sketchy to ride in.
I liked it better because I could
don't
see
like
exactly
flying.
what was happening.
I just don't like flying at all.
When we flew off, so we did something called shore power. So like when you have an RV and you plug in when you get
Yeah,
to where you're
yeah.
going, we had to plug in the ship so that we had power. So we flew somebody off so that when we pulled in, they could be on the pier to be on that side of shore power and like send the wires up.
Oh,
They were
okay.
huge fucking wires. Like
I bet. They
massive.
got to be, right?
Yeah.
Now, what about people that I'm always curious because, like, if you ever notice, like, people that work on, like, oil pads and everything like
Yeah.
that, they're probably responsible for most of the chew that's getting gone through in the world.
Yep.
Like, what's it like on a boat there? Like, are people smoking cigarettes and chewing the whole
so
time?
We have smoke decks, so like you can go smoke. And
Okay, I was
it's, like,
curious
outside
about
and stuff.
that. I didn't know if it was just like you're in the room and you could smoke.
No,
and
no,
shit.
not
Okay.
anymore. Jason was a smoker. My husband was a smoker when he was on the ship.
Yeah.
So they would have to like go off to these like outlying areas and these little tiny spaces with like 50 people crammed in there trying to smoke. Like I never smoked, and I get that like it's an addiction and all that, but I just don't know how you keep smoking when you have to like go out in the fucking freezing cold or
Yeah.
like in that little smoke room where there's like all smashed in and stuff.
I think it's bullshit that at corporate positions people could go out and have a cigarette break like as
Every
many
hour,
times as
yeah.
they want. And I can't just go walk outside.
I used to in power. We called it power school. So I went through a couple different training programs to
Yeah.
get to where I was. And in power school, every hour we'd get a 10-minute break, and everybody would run outside to smoke. Literally run outside to smoke. And after a while, I was like, this is fucking stupid. I'm gonna go take a fresh air break. And I would go outside and like walk around in a circle, and then come right back in.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, like, what was your idea of what was your idea of getting out of the military? Like, did you want to get out of the military?
No, to be honest, I would have stayed in. I would have retired. But when I got off the ship, I got a desk job and I started to get fat and kind of lost. I don't know what I lost, but I just didn't keep myself in shape.
Yeah.
And then I started failing the weigh-ins. We did a weigh-in every 6 months, and I failed a couple, and I got kicked out. So I wasn't supposed to. I thought I was getting a waiver.
Yeah.
To stay in because they didn't have enough nukes. But at the last minute, they decided no. So I literally had 10 days from when I found out I was getting out until I was out.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that sucked. I would have stayed, but it is
you
what
liked
it?
You liked it pretty much?
Loved it.
Really?
I absolutely loved it, yeah.
It's crazy to me because like JD, JD, her brother is like, how long is he was in there?
He was in
the Air
7
Force
years,
for
6 years, just a little shy of what I did. But like I said earlier, going to boot camp, why are you there? What's your mindset?
Yeah.
Like JD needed to pay off college. Like we said, he went for 6 years and had all these loans and stuff.
Yeah.
And he needed to like figure something out. I didn't need to figure anything out. I was just there to be
you just
there.
wanted to be there. That makes sense. So like what was your plan after that? Like what did like I don't even really remember. You met Jason in the military there. Yeah. And what did you do after that? Like where were you guys living? I can't remember.
So
now.
we were in Virginia for another 2 years. I
Norfolk,
think.
right?
Norfolk, yeah.
Yeah.
We had that house in Newport News.
Because what did he do?
Same thing I did.
Okay.
So there's 2 nuclear plants on a ship. 1 plant and 2 plant. I was 1 plant, he was 2 plant.
Okay.
So we actually started off as rivals. We had like the same job and stuff, and we were both probably the best on the ship at our respective jobs.
Yeah.
So we had nobody else to compete with except each other, and then it just kind of got weird after that. So, but yeah. So when I got out, he was still in. He did another 3 or 4 years after I got out.
Was he in there before you?
No, he actually went in a month after me, 2 months
okay.
after me. So pretty close, but
Yeah.
a little bit after. And then he took a position in Millington, which is right outside of Memphis.
Yeah.
And we went to Memphis. So I went to school. I had the GI Bill. And at the time, I don't know what I was thinking, but I majored in political science and sociology because I loved the classes.
I remember
loved
that.
those classes.
I remember that now.
So I have 2 bachelor's degrees, but I've never used them.
That's all right though. I mean, you got them, whatever.
Yeah, I got them. I checked the box. Do you have a degree? Yes.
Yeah, a couple. So whatever. You went to school for that, and then it's weird for me to try to like remember that. So
well,
after
we've been around, like we've moved so many times. Like
you guys moved all over, and it's it was because of like different positions,
just job stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
Because when he got out of the Navy, I wanted to go to Nashville because that's where I did my internship.
Yeah.
For school. And he got a job offer in Central Virginia in Lynchburg, where Matt stayed with him for a while.
Yeah.
And so he took that job, and it was a great job. But then he got laid off, which seems to be the story of what we do.
Yeah.
And I never found a job there. Like I bounced around to a bunch of positions and just couldn't find anything.
What were you trying to do with political science?
I wanted if we would have been in Nashville, that would have been the political science route.
Yeah.
Sociology, I thought I could get into like training or something that way, but it was an ill-conceived notion and never worked out the way it was supposed to. So I worked at Lowe's for a while. I worked at a manufacturing plant making machines that stack lumber.
Really?
Yeah. It was called AIT, but the owner of the company was massive dickbag.
What kind of shit did you do for that?
Electrician stuff mostly. I did a lot of mechanical stuff there too. I learned a lot there.
Because over the last years, like you've had all kinds of different jobs.
Yeah. So I did that for a while, and then when I finally gave up, and I remember one morning I was walking the dogs, and we got like 10 inches of snow, and I was like, fuck, I'm done. Like, I'm done with this place. I don't want to be here anymore. So I told Jason I was moving to Florida. I don't know what I was going to do, but I was moving to Florida. And we had gone on vacation to Disney beforehand because I wanted to see the Harry Potter stuff at Universal.
Yeah.
So I randomly applied to Universal to be to run the rides and stuff. Like I didn't want to be in maintenance or anything. I just wanted to dress like a wizard and go to work every day. Like legitimately just wanted a wizard's robe. So I applied and I go in for an interview and the guy's like, look, you have a great resume. I'll hire you for whatever you want to do. But like, you're going to make twice as much money if you're an electrician. And I was like, I don't want to be an electrician. I want to be a wizard. So like, fuck off. And he's like, well, yeah, but. And I was like, listen, you know, I don't know what I'm doing with myself right now. I want a robe and I want to go hang out at Harry Potter.
Yeah. And
he was like, okay. And he didn't know what to do at that point. He was just like, So eventually he was like, what if you could work at Gringotts? What if you could be an electrician at Gringotts Bank? And I was like, all right, we can compromise there.
Yeah.
So I ended up taking that job, and it was the best move I ever made.
Yeah, like that is you've done cool shit, and like the stuff with the Navy is obviously like that's awesome. But I mean, to work down there is, and how many years did you work there?
I was there for 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And you were an electrician just at Gringotts Bank?
Yeah. I just did Gringotts my first year there.
Wow.
And then I took a job as a trainer. I did technical training, and I actually got moved to the other side of Harry Potter. So I worked at like the Hogwarts Castle, which if Gringotts Bank was cool, Hogwarts Castle is fucking mind-blowing. Like,
was it?
Yeah, it's so awesome.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I couldn't even imagine. Like, I obviously haven't been there yet. But so you got this job working there, and like what was like your like what's like everyday duties working there?
That's a lot of preventative maintenance. So
I bet that that
if you're on a roller coaster, like you're checking every inch of it, because the Gringotts Bank was an indoor coaster. So every night you're checking every inch of track. You're checking all of the ride vehicles.
Is it animatronics in there, or is it like actors?
We had animatronics in the bank. We had the goblins in the bank, but they scared the shit out of me.
They were animatronic though?
Yeah.
Because I saw videos of them, and I couldn't remember if they were animatronic or people dressed like it.
No, they're animatronics, and like I didn't work on them. Like there was another group of people that did those particular animatronics, but you'd walk through the bank in the middle of the night and the lights would be off, but their eyes like followed you, and they like kind of glowed a little bit because they were glass.
Yeah.
So you'd be walking through the bank, and oh man, it made your hair stand up on the back of your neck.
Yeah, so I bet it would be creepy.
Yeah.
Now, like, what are hours of the park?
The parks, it depends on the time of the year, but typically it's 10 till like 10 or 11 at night. But what I did, maintenance crews is all night stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, so if people were there from 10 to 11, I'm sure that there's people working on night shift and whenever there's no one there.
Yeah, we did 10 o'clock at night till 8:30 in the morning, 4 10s, 4 days a week.
Oh, that's not bad.
Fucking awesome. That's what it is. It's fucking awesome.
That's not bad at all.
So I loved night shift because nobody, like, there's no asshole bosses there. Like, it was just like you and your crew. And
wow.
Yeah, awesome. Night shift is awesome.
Yeah, that would be incredible. So like you're just checking on shit and making sure shit's not broken. Now I feel like I remember asking you whenever you first got this job, like you got to test the rides like
every morning. Yep. And after a while, like when I was at Gringotts especially, people would be like, I'm so sick of this ride. I never want to ride it again. I got on that thing every morning. Every morning I rode that thing. I couldn't get enough.
Yeah, like I feel like that. I mean, that would just be a fun place to work.
You know that South Park episode where Eric bought the amusement park?
I don't think I've seen it. I honestly haven't watched a lot of South Park.
So this episode, Eric decides he's going to buy the amusement park so he didn't have to stand in lines and have crowds. And every time I went to Universal after I started working there, that's what I felt like. Because I'm like, what the fuck are these people doing? Like, I just want to ride my ride and walk around and be left alone. And there's all these guests here. I would get so annoyed during the day.
Now, if you're working overnight and like, are you able to just like, go and ride a different ride?
Typically not. I could. Like if you were like, hey, I was there when Kong opened, the new King Kong ride.
Yeah.
And so they had to have people like test ride it all the time. So they'd like put out a call and be like, hey, anybody want to come over and ride this ride really quick? We'd really appreciate it. So we all got to see it, and doing what I did, all the training stuff, like I would go to other rides all the time and like get to see stuff and help them write their paperwork and all that stuff.
But in the beginning, you were just at Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't care about anything else, man.
Yeah, I mean, so Universal, what all is in Universal? Like, there's parts of it. There's Harry Potter World.
Well, there's 2 different parks. There's Universal Studios, and then there's the Islands of Adventures.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
is Harry Potter in Universal?
There's 2 of them. So, Diagon Alley is in Universal Studios, but Hogsmeade is in Islands of Adventure.
And Hogsmeade is, like, what do they have there?
Hogsmeade is like in the movies. It looks exactly like you're walking down Hogsmeade, and then you have the Hogwarts Castle. They have a little baby roller coaster called the Hippogriff, and there's actually a new ride open in June. I think it's June 19th. That sounds like an advertisement for Universal, but there's a new ride opening called Hagrid's Magical Journey, I think, and it's going to be a ride through the Forbidden Forest with Hagrid.
Oh, really?
I've seen some video, and I have friends that work there. My friend Gene's the lead there, and Steve Atkins is one of the supervisors. So, like, I know people that are working on it.
Yeah.
It's going to be fucking wild. There's a part they were telling me about where you ride into Devil's Snare.
Yeah.
And it goes pitch black, and then a light shines in, and you drop straight down and shoot out of it.
Jeez.
Yeah. I'm terrified to ride it, but I have to.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm a pretty big Harry Potter fan. Like, I definitely love it. I love everything about it, and I've been wanting to go, but, like, Antoinette won't watch it, and, like, she has no desire to be down there whatsoever.
I don't think you need to
That's what I
be
said.
a Harry Potter fan to be at Universal, because Jason went with me.
He's not a Harry Potter fan.
He has not seen, I think he saw half of one
But
movie.
he's a nerd. Like, he likes Star Wars.
He loved the Simpsons ride. Loved the
See,
Simpsons
like,
ride.
I hate The Simpsons, but, like, I hate it. I think The Simpsons is the worst, but, like, I would appreciate, any of it down there, like, seeing any of it. Now, did you ever get, like, is there, in the Harry Potter world, I know, like, in Disney and shit like that, they do, like, the parades and everything. Did they have, like, shows and everything?
Yeah, they do a Macy's Day Parade every year. So, like, all through the Halloween season, they do that. They do, like, a Grinch, the Grinch Who Stole Christmas show. They do all that shit. So, yeah, there's a bunch of shows.
Wow. What other cool shit do you get to do from being like a worker there? Like, was there any, like, worker only days and everything?
Well, yeah, like they opened that Volcano Bay, the new water park.
I don't know what that is.
It's just a new water park. Yeah, it's part of Universal.
Oh, okay.
And there was a day where it was just staff members that would go there.
Oh, wow.
They did movie screenings. So, like, that one with Melissa McCarthy where she was like the Girl Scout troop leader.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
We saw that before it came out because they did a screening of it.
That's cool.
For like just staff. So they do Universal and Disney are similar in that the pay isn't, you're not going to go work there because they're going to pay you the most.
Yeah.
You're going to go work there because of the perks. Like, I had fantastic health insurance, which sounds like a real adult stupid ass thing, but
but
I had
it is
amazing insurance.
We just got screwed because Antoinette got that surgery.
Yeah.
They cut her ovary out, and it's like $4,000.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's with our insurance.
Yep.
But I mean, now that we're adults, it's like those things are definitely
those things you're just like, I'm never going to care about that. But like, I get a free turkey for Thanksgiving. Again, doesn't sound like a big deal, but they just hand you a turkey. You're like, fuck yeah, turkey.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like that working down there would just be insane.
Yeah.
So you genuinely just liked going to work?
Yeah. There was one night I remember I was kind of dragging, like walking in, and one of the old time guys, I can't for the life of me remember his name, but dude worked overtime every night. Like, he was always there. Yeah, he's really just fucking good guy, just a really good guy.
Yeah.
And he comes up behind me, he's like, "What's going on with you?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm just dragging tonight." And he's like, "Listen, when you're having one of these days, I want you to remember, people pay a lot of money to come to a place that we get to go to free every night."
Yeah, I mean, that's
and I was
true.
like, damn right they do.
Like,
and that was a turning point for me. Like, I jumped on that ride every morning with a smile on my face after that.
Yeah. Wow. It's definitely crazy. What happens whenever a ride breaks?
There's maintenance people on staff during the day. And they're band-aiding most stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just want to get the ride up as quick as you can. They have all these metrics, and they'll tell you, like, how much money we're losing for every minute a ride is down.
Yeah.
And so their sole purpose is, like, get that ride back up. So they're usually the smartest people.
Just like rushing.
Yeah, they're just rushing and just getting what it's got. And they got to figure it out quick, and they got to get the fix in quick. Like, it's not like they have 6 hours to do it.
Do you have any like statistics on how many people come through there a day?
It really just depends on the time of the year. I don't know the numbers, but like, if school's out, you're not going to be able to move. Like, it's going to be fucking packed. And like, in Hogsmeade, I don't think they had any idea how popular it was going to be, because there were days in Hogsmeade you couldn't see the ground. Like, there were so many people packed into that area, you could not see the ground. And so if any of the supervisors or anything would go outside, and they'd be like, "Well, we can see the ground, so it's not that busy."
Wow.
Yeah.
It's definitely, geez. It got to be crazy down there doing all that shit. Now, as far as all the the secret stuff that's hidden in Diagon Alley? Like, isn't there secret things where you could do like
there's a lot of stuff.
Like different. So obviously you got to learn where all that shit is.
Yep. And when I moved over to Hogsmeade, I didn't work in Diagon Alley too much. I was there, but I didn't do that maintenance stuff. But in Hogsmeade, I was the trainer for that area, so I knew everything in Hogsmeade.
Yeah. Wow. And it's basically is there a place to go to like find all these things that are hidden in there? Or is it like word of mouth?
A lot of it's word of mouth. Like in Diagon Alley, a lot of the cool stuff is because it's where Jaws used to be. So they literally
is it? They took out Jaws?
They took out Jaws, and all the shit that they took out, like all the buildings and stuff, they just used to fill in that lagoon. So all like the boats and the sharks and all that stuff, they just like threw it all into a big lake and covered it with cement and built Gringotts on top of it.
Oh,
so,
I didn't know that.
There's a lot of like Jaws jaw
like
in one of the windows, and like all these like weird little references to that in Diagon Alley.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
What about like times, like what's like the best time to go throughout the year? Like what's like the least busy?
The least busy is probably like the first week of December. Like,
oh really?
Because Christmas is crazy.
I would think it would be nuts.
Yeah, from Christmas Day to New Year's Day, don't even bother.
What about Halloween? Like Halloween's crazy down there
Halloween
too?
at Universal is because of Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
Like, the closer you get to Halloween, like the Halloween Horror Nights shit is crazy.
Is like Harry Potter is every part of that park like done up as Halloween? Or do they keep Harry Potter just like Harry Potter?
Harry Potter's always Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling was very specific about all of Harry Potter, so they don't do a lot with Harry Potter. But
so
like,
she had a lot. Like she was
there.
involved.
She
with
approved everything.
Oh,
Like,
really?
She had the final say. The Forbidden Journey ride. There's Dementors that come down in it.
Yeah.
And when they rode it the first time, there was a lot more Dementors. There's like 21 of them or something like that. I don't remember the exact number anymore.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more. And when they got off, they said J.K. Rowling was like, "That's too scary. Take those out." So now you only see like 4 of them, I think.
Oh, really?
In the ride, yeah. They like.
So she went through and she would she approved it all.
She approved. She like even as far as like the maintenance uniform, because we all wear our uniforms, but the rest of the park maintenance crew wears one uniform, but Harry Potter wears a completely different one, because she was like, "No, that's not what Harry Potter maintenance people would wear. They're wearing this."
Oh wow!
So everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, if she would have like a say in it.
Yep, every little bit.
Was it like now, did you ever do anything that was like were you outside with all the people like a lot of the times, or are you kind of behind the scenes?
I would be outside when the park was open. I would see them.
Yeah.
But I wasn't there a lot when the park was open.
Okay. That makes sense.
There was one night, so they do a Harry Potter weekend every year. When I first started, it's in January, I believe. And Harry Potter weekend was there, and I was still at Gringotts, and I was a tech, and everybody knew I was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And they call us, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to stay open late. Some of the talent," which is what they call the actors and stuff, "some of the talent want to come over and ride it."
Yeah.
Well, my ears were perked. I was like, "Okay, who's coming?" So we found out it's Ginny Weasley wants to come ride the ride.
Oh, really?
And I'm like,
"Oh, I
thought
you meant people that worked at the park."
Sometimes that would be it, but no, this was like they brought talent in for the Harry Potter weekend.
Oh,
so it was
wow.
like the actress that played Ginny Weasley was coming to ride the ride.
Jeez.
And I'm like, "Fuck, I gotta get up there. I gotta go say hi." And they're like, "No," like, because you're not supposed to. That's like the
Yeah.
first thing they tell you. Hey, if you see famous people, just leave them alone.
Yeah,
And I was
bet.
like, "No, I gotta go. And my boss, his name was Alex. He's like, you cannot leave the maintenance bay. Like you specifically have to stay in the maintenance bay." I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm just gonna go to the TD office, which was like the technical director who ran the ride.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go sit in the TD booth. And they're like, "No, like you have to stay here,"
Yeah,
because they
'cause you
knew
would've
I would
freaked
have
out.
gotten fired. Like I totally. And I told him, I was like, "If that's J.K. Rowling, I'm just fucking quitting. Like I'm just going up there and saying hello. I'll give you my badge." But
Yeah.
Ginny, I wasn't quite ready to lose that job.
You
for.
weren't allowed to like say hello to celebrities.
You could say hello, but you couldn't like.
ask for an autograph.
Yeah,
shit
you
like
couldn't
that.
take pictures. Like none of that. You could say hello, but that was about it.
Now, in your time of working there, did you see any celebrities besides her?
No, that was it.
Yeah, I mean,
There was one weekend that when the Pro Bowl was in Orlando, they did a big Pro Bowl party.
Yeah.
And I was so pissed at all the guys I worked with because they acted like I did for Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And even though they made fun of me for Harry Potter, they're like, "Oh my God, we have to go see like," I don't know who was there. I'm not a football person, but they're all just like losing their minds over these football players. And I'm like, "You guys are all gay. Get out of here. Come on."
That's probably I feel like that would be the funnest job ever.
Yeah, I loved it.
And so why'd you end up leaving there? Jason moved for work?
Well, Jason was. So we lived in Lakeland, which is halfway between Orlando and Tampa.
Yeah.
50 miles.
You had to commute 50 miles every day?
50 miles every day.
How long?
About an hour, which is where it gets
terrible.
funny. I didn't have to go through traffic. I did 50 miles an hour back and forth. Jason did 50 miles, but he had to go through traffic. So his commute turned into like 2.5 hours. And he was working a 12-hour shift.
Yeah.
So his days were like 16, 17 hours.
Yeah.
And he was miserable. He's so miserable. And then his mom got sick, and we ended up going back to Amarillo because it was just kind of the perfect storm. Like, he got a really great job offer and all this stuff. So we went back and, took care of all the family mess we had to take care of. And now he's getting laid off of this job that we moved for. So now we're kind of back in this,
And he's still working in the nuclear type stuff?
He doesn't work nuclear. He works utilities. So he sits in a room and basically makes sure all the breakers are closed to keep everybody with power. So he just tracks, like, the power generation.
Is it still, like, with military?
Him no. He's civilian.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. So now you're in Amarillo, you said?
Amarillo, yep.
Amarillo, Texas, the Amarillo sky. And now you work at something like the Science Center on a smaller scale.
It's super small scale. It's like if you would take the first floor of the Carnegie Science Center, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And that's probably even bigger than
that's
what
all
we
right,
do.
though.
But I'm super passionate about it because it's like, it's not like Pittsburgh. There's not suburbs, and there's not like the next city is 3 hours away.
Oh, to you, it's
to us. Yeah, the next city.
Oh, wow.
Realistically, the next city you're looking at is Oklahoma City down I-40.
Oh, wow.
And between us, so Amarillo has about 200,000 people, which is nothing. Like 200,000 people is not a ton of people.
How many
at
do
all.
you think are in Pittsburgh?
Well, and it's a little different too because you have suburbs. So do you count just Pittsburgh or do you count suburbs? When you go to Amarillo, the suburbs are nothing.
Yeah.
Only real probably thing you consider a suburb is Canyon, and I think Canyon has 40,000 people.
Yeah. So it's not anything crazy.
It's not. There's just no people. You could drive for hours and just nothing.
How did you fall into this job?
It took me a long time to find a job at all, and actually, Jason's stepmom took her grandson to an event at the Discovery Center, and she was like, "You should go apply out there."
That's what it's called, the Discovery Center.
Yeah, it's the Don Harrington Discovery Center.
Who's Don Harrington?
He's an old oil guy from the Panhandle of Texas that donated a bunch of money a long time ago. So
I didn't know if he was like...
He's like Carnegie. He's just some dude that donated a bunch of money.
That got something named after him. And so basically, this place is like what all do you do there?
So I started as I was just a science guide, and I did demonstrations. Like I did cool little science experiments with the field trips.
Like what though?
So we do a bunch. Like my favorite one that I kind of feel bad for the kids when they get stuck with me. We do an electricity and circuits lab. So like they get to come in and like play with circuits and like connect batteries and generators up and like light stuff up. But like I always go into this huge spiel about LEDs because I can't keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
So they'll like be trying to hook up these LEDs, and then I have to tell them like, "Oh, do you know what LED stands for? It's a light emitting diode. Do you know what a diode is? Light emitting diode."
Oh, I didn't know that.
And a diode is something that only lets current go one direction. So an LED only lets current go in one direction. So when the kids try to hook the LED up and it doesn't work, I can't just tell them to flip it. I have to go into like this 10-minute dissertation about what a diode is, and it's not working. So, I just wanted them to have all of the information.
So you nerd out.
I totally nerd out.
Yeah.
And then so we do those, and those are like hands-on labs. But then we also do like big, like Bill Nye the Science Guy, like just experiments for them.
Like, do you do like liquid nitrogen type?
Yeah, we have a whole liquid nitrogen one called Science Below Zero.
Yeah, that's
where at the
awesome.
end we get a big giant trash can. We put liquid nitrogen in a 20 ounce bottle, seal it really good, throw a bunch of play pit balls on it, and then dump hot water on it, and it fucking explodes. Like,
oh, really?
Boom, huge explosion. Yeah, that's
wow.
the big finale of Science Below Zero.
That's a cool finale. I remember at the Science Center, they used to freeze a marshmallow and have someone roll on over and eat it. I got to eat it one time. The wildest ever.
Yeah.
I was always curious because of Terminator.
Everybody always kind of freaks out about that because, like, it's really, if you don't do it right, it's pretty dangerous.
Because it could probably freeze your throat.
And it actually, it's so cold it burns.
Yeah. It's so now before you got this job, like
it's minus 321 degrees in case you were wondering.
Oh, is it?
That's what liquid nitrogen is, minus 321 degrees.
Holy shit.
That's part of my randomness that I know for my job now.
Yeah, we were talking about snakes last night at your party, and you're like, well, actually. So, like, before you got hired with all this, like, you didn't have, like, any, like you didn't know you were going to do this.
No.
You didn't have any, like, passion to do this,
No.
but you kind of, like, it's a cool job to have, I feel.
I've always been really, like, passionate about women in STEM because of my background. Like, I've always been the only girl as an electrician anywhere I've been. So it's, like, it's one of those things that I've always been really, really excited. You had what was her name? Allison
Falk, yeah.
And I loved that episode so much because I understand that passion. Like, I get it. And I went on and, like, followed everything she does. Like, it's so important. And you don't see it until you're, like, in the middle of it and you're like, wait a minute. Like, where's everybody?
That's why I try to talk to people about it because, like I'm a dude, like, I'm a white dude. Like, I'm a, like, I have the easiest life on paper for sure.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, I know the shit with you being, like, a manager in the Navy. Like, I was interested about that and, like, what your experience of managing, like, a bunch of, like, alpha dudes.
Yeah.
Like, because people that are in the Navy, like, I would assume a majority of them are, like, alpha type dudes. Yeah. And to get, like, even in a regular work spot, like a regular corporate job, I know that there's dudes that are dickheads that will not show any respect to women whatsoever.
We had a guy that came to the ship and he told them right off the bat that he's not going to come work for me and they need to send him to the other plant. So what do you think
he
happened?
Said that?
Yep. He came and worked for me.
Oh, man. Did he end up liking you?
Nope. He, like I said, I was super hard on people.
Yeah.
Like and it's not that I don't expect anything from you that I don't do. I'll always always do all of it. And but this guy he didn't want to work for me. So he showed it every single day and he ended up he couldn't handle it and they sent him to work for the chaplain because he kept saying he was going to commit suicide and stuff and he's had mental problems, so they sent him to work for the chaplain.
Is that like a thing like in the military? Like what is their like procedure if someone does that? I'm sure if people are out on like if you're out on a deployment and people can't handle it until, like, obviously everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Yeah. So if they're out on deployment and they're like, oh fuck, and they start breaking, like, do they have a procedure to help deal with that?
So it's a lot. Like, some people try to abuse the system, and that's unfortunate because it makes it harder for the people that actually need help. So, like, if you do need, and we've seen this a few times, we have something called Suicide Watch. So you're in the middle of the ocean. Like, there's nothing we can do with you right this minute. If you say anything about suicide, like, what are you supposed to do? So we call it Suicide Watch, where if you say, oh, man, I can't do this, I'm going to go do something stupid, then you're under 24-hour watch. Like, somebody has to sit with you for 24 hours. And it's typically people in your division that are close to you, like people that, until they can either fly you off or, like, get past the crisis or whatever it is. Yeah. But, I mean, the statistics, I believe, are 21 veterans a day kill themselves.
Yeah, suicide. I know, it's insane.
It's crazy insane, and it's just and even the Navy isn't exactly the same reason, because a lot of those guys are having PTSD and they're having all this, like, really, and I've never shot. I got kicked out of the gun range in boot camp. Like, I never shot a gun in boot camp. So
why?
I was dangerous apparently with the fake gun, so they wouldn't let me shoot the real gun. Like, I never shot a gun. My dad wasn't a hunter, so boot camp was the first time I ever saw a gun. So when they give you a fake one, it's like, it's got a like an air valve hooked up to it, so you can feel, like, the kickback and stuff. But it also has a laser on it, so they can see where you're pointing it.
Yeah.
So that kickback, that even the air one, the first time I felt it was just so, like, such a strange feeling to me that I waved that fucking gun all around. Like, I had it, like, it kicked back and it threw my arm. So the laser's like pointing like all around the room at like random people and stuff. And they're like,
that makes sense.
Put that down and go outside.
That makes sense.
So I never even shot the real gun. So I was not in a hand-to-hand combat position, but just the mentalness of being on a ship in the middle of the ocean, people snap. It's just a different experience.
Bet. Was there people that now? Did you ever was there anything on the boat where people did have to fire weapons besides for that boat that was coming up on you?
So an aircraft carrier is probably the most protected piece of American property in the world. So there's every other ship in the Navy is basically there to protect the aircraft carrier. So you have like submarines,
Battleship.
destroyer. Yeah, you have all these ships protecting you. So if it gets to a point where somebody is close enough for us to shoot them,
then it's
bad.
Yeah,
it's already bad.
That makes sense.
So, but we have like I don't know if you remember the Sea Whiz, the like giant automatic guns. I don't think they did anything with them on that day you were on there.
I don't think so.
But they sound like a train rumbling through or something. Like they're loud and they're fire like 1 million times a minute or something. It's not 1 million, but, it's a lot. And
wow.
They're wild.
Now, I mean, that's it's different because like you had years of doing something like that, and now you're basically like a Bill Nye.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you have a cool shift of like careers.
Yeah.
And I know that like you were saying that like for a while you couldn't find jobs, but I mean, patience is a virtue, I guess. And like, you like what you do with this shit now?
I love what I'm doing right now.
You were saying you got a bunch of like, there's a bunch of different reptiles and everything there?
Yeah, we've got, I want to say 14 animals.
Because now you said you're the science program director?
Yeah, my official title is Education and Programs Manager.
And what does that mean?
It means anything other people don't want to do, I do.
Yeah. Like, do you orchestrate like this, like the science projects that you guys do there and stuff?
So I manage the part-time staff, which is the big part of my job. I write their schedule.
Oh, okay.
I train them, I onboard them, I interview them. Like,
yeah.
I do everything with the part-time staff, which I think that's more important than what I was doing teaching the kids almost, because most of these guys, it's their first job, right? So
that's a good point.
Now I'm teaching them how to be a successful
good
employee,
worker, yeah.
like how to do customer service, like all of these things to move on, because they're all in college or high school, and they're just taking a step. Not all of them. Like there are people like me that come in later in life and stuff, and they're usually the ones that know what they're doing, and I don't have to mess with very much. But a lot of the people that work for me are really just learning how to work.
Yeah. That makes sense. How do you decide, like, how is it decided what you guys do there? And like, do you guys have is there like a template that you follow, or do you guys kind of get to just choose what you want?
We have a lot of leeway because we're so small.
Yeah, I feel like it makes it a little bit more lenient because you're small.
So my boss, his name's Kyle Hadley, and he's awesome. He wrote most of our demonstrations when he first started.
Yeah.
He actually has a degree in education, so it makes sense. Like
he's
got some background in this. And a lot of the people that are full-time staff there do have a background in teaching. So they write all these things, and then we just teach them to the kids. So we do field trips and stuff. So in Texas, it's called TEKS. It's like the standardized, like what they need to learn every year.
Okay.
So we follow the TEKS and like just try to make it like, how can we fit into the classroom?
That makes sense. So like you kind of like play along to what it's gonna be taught anyway.
Yeah.
Now what about like what are the ages of people that come through there? Like is it genuinely for like, is it generally just for like younger kids, or is it?
We kind of view it as younger kids, like pre-K to like 5th or 6th.
Okay.
But like next week we have a bunch of high schools coming through to do. We have a lab called we call it ICU. It's a cow eye dissection. So we go down to the plant and get a bunch of cow eyeballs, and we do dissections in a lab. So we do that. One of the high schools does that.
Where do you go get cow eyeballs?
I'm in Texas, man.
Oh, I guess that's a good point.
Yeah, so we actually go to
probably
Tyson.
everywhere.
Tyson is right down the road from us.
Like Tyson Chicken?
Yeah, and
wow.
They slaughter like right by us. And there's another place called Eads that's a smaller, same thing, but it's smaller, that we can get eyeballs from too.
Now,
I can't do the eyeball lab.
I was just gonna ask, like you won't do that?
The issue I have with it is they have a lot of fat on the eyeballs, and the feeling of that fat is the worst feeling of anything. Like I cook chicken, I can cook beef.
Yeah.
I cannot. That fat on that eyeball is so disgusting.
I never took anatomy, so like I remember in anatomy, they were dissecting like cats, like
I
cat
did the
fetuses.
fetal pig. I thought for a minute I wanted to go some medical route when I was in high school and stuff. And then I found out that you have to dissect cats. And I was like, fuck that. I'm never dissecting a cat. Like, that is not going to happen in my life.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever dissected anything. I think one time we might have dissected a frog, if I remember that.
Yeah.
Or I might just be thinking of like E.T. and projecting. Yeah. But
that's not my jam.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like I would do it. I think it would be cool, but I don't know. It would definitely be weird.
I've actually, toyed with being a vegetarian just because I don't like how we treat the factory farmed animals.
Absolutely.
So I'm just like, I'm always like
up.
right on that verge of like, I should be a vegetarian, but this bacon tastes so good. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like
I love this Chick-fil-A sandwich, but they probably like, whenever I did stand up, I had a whole bit about it, like that whipping chickens.
I know.
Because I watched a PETA video where people were literally just whipping chickens. And you're like, fuck, like that's super fucked up.
I gotta stop eating this chicken sandwich. But
I know. I just hate vegans. Like I hate just the way that they project on people. And they're just like, hey, I'm vegan. Like,
well, it's like when we were in Virginia, I had a friend that had a farm and like donkeys and horses and goats and chickens and all this stuff. And that's where I started getting my eggs, and I started to really learn about factory farmed eggs.
Yeah.
So I always make sure, like when they say, what's the word? Cage free. So a regular chicken has about 12 by 12 or 6 by 6. That's the space they have to have for a chicken.
Yeah.
But a cage-free chicken only has to have twice that. So this chicken isn't out like eating fucking grass and getting sunshine. This chicken's still in a little tiny cage. He just gets a little bit more of a cage.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always really like, I try to find eggs from like somebody that actually has their chickens and treats them right.
Like an actual farm.
Yeah, farm. And she actually, she had a pig. The pig's name was Ginger. And I used to go pet Ginger's belly. Like, I loved being at this farm, loved this pig. Well, the pig started to grow this tumor, and the vet came out and was like, listen, it's not cancer, but this is going to start to affect her quality of life. You should consider taking her to the butcher soon, or the slaughterhouse or whatever they took them, before it gets to a point you can't use any of the meat.
Yeah.
And so she called me, and she was like, hey, we're going to get Ginger slaughtered. Do you want some meat? And, like, this was a moment in my life that I've been preaching for, like, it's how we treat the animals. Like, we have to treat the animals right.
Yeah.
And now I have this pig that I know had a great life, and, like, her life was coming to an end anyway.
Yeah.
Can I eat Ginger? So I was like, yeah, I guess I have to. Like, I have to eat Ginger. It ended up not happening. Like, it didn't work out just for what we moved away before Ginger ended up getting to the
Taken
butcher and
out.
all that. But, like, it was a turning moment in my life.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, if you start to analyze it and you start to think about what it really is and like the way shit really happens, it's fucked up. And if you like animals at all, I feel like the majority of us that eat meat are just, don't ask, don't tell, like out of sight, out of mind. But once you really start looking at it, and if you even catch a couple minutes or a couple seconds of a PETA video, you're like, this shit is messed up. Like 19 chickens in a row, and they just put their head in boiling water and grease, and you're just like, wow, like Jesus.
Yeah. No, it's awful.
It is. It's awful.
We got really down a dark trail, though.
Yeah, definitely down a dark trail. But full circle, like you learn all this shit. Like, do they? Like for your position now, like if you didn't have any education on anything like this, is there like, do they like brief you and they like?
Yeah, you get a script. Like,
okay.
They hand you a script, and it's even so written out so far there's jokes in it. And I always tell everybody, I'm like, listen, this is your bare minimum. This is what you go in. If you use this exactly, you'll be fine. Yeah. But most of my staff, once you do it once or twice, you start to get like, oh, well, I found this out, or oh, I tried this, and oh, I have one girl that does. We have a Weather Wonders one. It's all about weathers, dude. She puts so many like stupid dad joke pun things in there, and the kids love it. And so it's just everybody puts their own little spin on it, and that's a lot of what we look for and who we hire is people that can stand there and talk for an hour, even if they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and just sell it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like that was always, I feel that like the hands-on shit, I was always a hands-on person.
Me too.
So it was always way easier for me to learn through those type of experiments. So it was always super fun to me. Like anytime we would go to the science center, like I fucking lived for all that shit. Anything that I was like able to, like I remember one time, I remember the experiments that like were, that like made a lasting impression on me. Like there was one about like owl pellets.
Yeah.
And
we did that one at work.
It was so sick because they opened up an owl pellet and there's like skeletons from mice in there. And like, it's just wild to know about it. And it's just shit you don't usually learn about. And you're just like, fuck, like I never knew that. And it's like, I probably learned that whenever I was like 12. And like, I'll never forget that.
The one that stuck with me from the science center was the one where they had like a ball in a ring and the ball didn't fit in the ring.
Yeah.
And then they put the ball in the liquid nitrogen and heated up the ring and it fit in easy. Like that was just one of those things that was just like always in my head, like because of the temperatures. And now as an adult, like I've had to press bearings in, and you have to, cool them off and heat up the metal to press them in. I'm like, oh fuck, all right. Like it all comes back to something I learned when I was in third grade.
How you have to apply it to things. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely cool. I like learning about things. It's cool that you have a job where you could kind of expand your intelligence on just random shit. I mean, like we were talking about bearded dragons last night, and like I for some reason I always thought you were afraid of snakes.
I was. If you would have asked me a year ago if I would be like hanging with the snakes at work, I would have said no. And there's still one snake that I don't mess with. There's a snake. Her name's Agnes. She's a Kenyan sand boa. And she's still pretty small. She's only about a year old. Yeah. But you have to be confident, right? Like you have to like go in there, grab her, and be done with it. Like you just can't. You can't even question
like hover around or anything.
You can't just like, I don't know, because she'll twitch and whatever, but I can't deal with her.
Now, like you said that there's a bearded dragon, you said there's leopard geckos.
We have crested geckos.
Crested geckos. Yep. And I mean, it's cool. I'm sure. I always wonder what it was like to like work at the science center and be someone who gets to handle all these things.
And I think that's like everybody I hire, they're like first thing, they're like, can I hold that? Can I hold that? And you're like, yes, hold them all. Like I want, because I want the best life for our animals
to be
didn't
comfortable.
ask to be there. You know, they didn't.
For sure.
Nobody was like, oh, no chinchilla rolled up to the Discovery Center and was like, hey, can I have little kids touch me every day for the rest of my life? But, they're going to be there. Like I want them to have a good life. So that's what I want the staff to treat them like too.
That makes sense. That's definitely a cool job. I mean, you've had cool jobs.
Yeah.
I think that this one, it would be something super fun to do. Like learning about just weird shit.
It's really awesome. It's funny because when I was a kid, my dad used to tell all these stories about all these crazy jobs he had. Yeah. And then I would repeat them as I got older. I started to worry that people were going to think I was like making this up, like Big Fish or something. My dad just made up his whole life because he worked on Mr. Rogers and like.
Did he?
Yeah, he edited stuff for Mr. Rogers.
Oh, I had no idea.
He's got crazy stories, like the video store, the diner he had.
I know. I'm seriously
He's got crazy stories.
I'd like to talk to him about owning all that shit.
He loves talking to himself, or he loves talking about himself. Yeah. But so I used to stress like, oh, people are gonna think I'm making this up. And now, like, I'm so happy to have a life that like I have stories. Like people give a shit about my stories, and I think that's like such a great
you have experiences.
Like,
that's where everything comes from is experiences. It's like everyone always is just like, what would that be like? What would that be like? And it's like, if you have experiences, like no one knows what it's going to be like until they experience it.
And that's like last night we were laughing about nobody taking pictures, but I'm like not anti pictures, but I'm not going to sit on my phone all night. I'm not going to like record a concert on Snapchat or anything. Like I want to be there. I want to experience.
I'm guilty of taking photos. Like I take too many photos. You did
take a few last night.
I take too many photos because my whole thought is like they're memories that you. It's like what what's her name in what's Clarissa Explains It All. Her name was Melissa Joan Hart. She says in that movie Can't Hardly Wait. She's like, these are memories frozen in time, people. and that's like what I think about. But as I'm like taking that picture, I'm realizing like I'm watching something through this little like 2-inch screen.
Exactly.
And you're like, damn, like that's kind of fucked up. So whenever we were just on vacation and like I was looking at these trees, like that General Sherman tree is the biggest single stem tree in the world. And you're like, fuck, like 275 feet bigger than the Pitfall and 40 foot wide. And you're like, damn. So I took it all in for sure, but I definitely got some pictures.
See, we did the sequoia trees, but we came from Oregon. So
you went there?
We went there. We just like Jason was not about California. So,
Yeah.
like, we drove into California, saw the trees, and we were gone.
Yeah.
Like, the second we went into California, he was like, fucking gas is $4. This is fucking...
It's crazy over there. Everything we were paying... I was paying like $4.50, $5 for a donut.
This was 10 years ago, too, so...
It's a mess up there. It really is. You saw General Sherman?
I don't think we saw that tree, but we saw the redwoods.
Yeah, the big
the redwood
ass.
forest and stuff, yeah.
It's definitely... I mean, it's just... It's humbling to, like, be in those places and, like, realize that, like, there's so much shit to see.
Yeah.
And people just, like, stay...
We went
here.
to a place... it was in Southern Oregon, so in those big ass trees,
Yeah.
they built tree houses. Like it was like Swiss Family Robinson
Oh,
style.
wow.
So we stayed there 2 nights, and of our whole honeymoon, we spent like 7 days in Oregon just driving around. But of the whole honeymoon, these 2 nights in these tree houses were.
You
probably,
stayed in the tree houses?
Yeah, we stayed in the tree houses.
Oh,
like
wow.
you crawl up like these crazy, and there's like bridges between them to get to them, and like stairways up the trees and
Damn.
stuff. And it's called Out and About Treesort or In and About Treesort, something like that. But at night they do a big bonfire for everybody staying there.
Damn.
So like all these people from
Wherever.
there was a couple there from New Zealand. They owned all the subways in New Zealand, and they were staying there with us. So
Oh,
they're pretty
shit.
cool people, but they also owned a heliski company.
Yeah.
So like me and Jason want to know all about the heliski stuff. We're like, what's that like?
Yeah.
Everybody else there's like, what's Subway like? Like, how do you pick your sandwiches? And we're like,
Oh,
fuck Subway. Like, let's talk about heliski.
I thought you meant, like, the actual subways.
No, like the sandwiches. And well, they're like, what kind of sandwiches do you sell in New Zealand? And I'm
keep
like,
it.
no, nobody cares.
Yeah, no one cares about Subway. That's definitely cool. It's
Yeah.
cool to be around and see and hear from all different people. Like,
Yeah.
it's a benefit to talking to all these people. But, yeah, I mean, you got a wild life.
I did the zip lines there too. I'll never do them again.
Where at?
At that tree
Oh, at
resort
that tree?
place. Because
Oh,
we had to
shit.
climb a tree, like literally climb a tree. And I don't do
Heights.
height. Well, I don't even know if it's heights, but I was scared.
Yeah.
And I got about halfway up, and we were harnessed in, and they're like, and I looked down, and I'm like, nope, I'm done. And they're like, well, you either fall or you keep climbing. And I'm like, I'm not falling. And they're like,
Yeah.
you're in a harness, like just let go. I was like, nope. So I like scurried up the tree really fast and got done.
I don't know. I would be cool with doing stuff like that until, like, I always think I would be cool doing it. Like, I feel like I would want to be, like, do skydiving,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I'm glad I did it, but I won't do it again.
You did skydiving?
I didn't do I meant the zip line.
yeah.
Like,
Skydiving would be insane, but there's so many people I know that do it that it just, I don't know, it looks incredible. And then, like, you just think about, like, Keanu and Patrick Swayze in
Yeah.
Point Break, and you're like, damn, like, that would probably be insane. All right, so the ending segment I do with all my guests is a segment called Desert Island Questions. Desert Island question comes from The Office. I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island, and I give you 3 choices for each category just to make it interesting. So the first category is things to watch on a desert island. So anything you want. It could be whole series, TV, whatever.
well, I've been practicing this for like 58 episodes
Yeah.
now. I play it with my friends and stuff. So I know for watching, I'm taking, and it'll change in a month, I'm sure. But right now I'm taking A League of Their Own, best movie of all time.
I would have guessed it.
And then I'm going to take The Office and Parks and Rec.
Really?
I can watch them all day, every day. And I do. They're on Comedy Central all day, every day.
Yeah, I love The Office. I mean, I would have assumed I was going to guess that you were going to take. For some reason, I don't know. I remember you being like crazy into ER back in the
Yeah,
day.
I was.
I remember
and
you
I do
had-
Grey's Anatomy now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I would definitely watch Grey's Anatomy. I just listened to a podcast with Mark Maron, and did you know that Rob Lowe was supposed to be McDreamy?
Really?
He turned it down. How weird would that be if
Yeah.
Rob Lowe would be McDreamy?
I mean, he'd probably still be alive in the series, though.
Yeah, he probably because he would be a huge.
Yeah.
He would be like some huge part. How long has that been on now?
It's crazy. It's like the longest running nighttime drama or something of all time. It's like 1 million episodes. I think 12 years or something.
Yeah, like.
But they lost me when Christina left. But I
What,
just can't
Christina
stop
was
watching.
the Asian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't stop watching it, though. Like, I need to know how it is. It's
Is
like,
there any original people still in it? Is
yeah,
Meredith Grey still in
Grey's
it?
still there. And,
She's probably just rich as fuck.
Oh, yeah, she is. She's like producing stuff now. Like,
Yeah.
she's doing. But her husband's a basketball player, I think.
Oh, I
so
didn't know
she's
that.
not hurting for anything.
Yeah, I would have guessed A League of Their Own, Harry Potter, and I don't know. I thought of VR just because, like, I remember you back in the day
Yeah.
being crazy into it, but I guess everything's changed.
But Harry Potter, like, I'm a book person, not a movie person.
Yeah,
we
that
talked
makes
about that
sense.
with Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah. Okay, so you picked those. Like, those are good choices. I feel like that covers pretty much everything.
Yeah.
You said Parks and Rec, The Office, and A League of Their Own. A League of Their Own is still so good.
So good.
It will always
Yeah.
be so good.
I was watching a thing. It was like Tom Hanks's top 10 movies or something.
Yeah.
And A League of Their Own was way down at the bottom. I was like, that.
I mean, if you had to put, I mean, he has so many good movies.
He does.
But I think that just holds like a nostalgic factor. Plus, like, you played softball
Yeah.
forever, so like that's a double nostalgic
Yeah.
factor.
For sure.
Okay, second category is books, and like if you read, like I always like whenever people are readers because like I usually have to use the video game question.
This
So-
has changed 100 times over your series of podcasts.
Yeah, it had to have.
Because, like, obviously I'm taking Harry Potter. I've
Yeah.
read the Harry Potter series multiple times.
I still need to read it. I've never
Continuously.
read a sentence of any of the books.
Well, then it gets fishy because I could totally take right off the bat. I would take Harry Potter, Hunger Games, and the Dark Tower series. But then, like, it's all fantasy. So
Yeah.
at what point do you just throw in a? I'm not going to throw in a real book. I'm on a desert island. Who cares if I learn anything?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's probably what I would take is Harry Potter, Hunger Games, and
I
the
read
Dark
the
Tower.
first Hunger Games book and I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was so good because like I loved Lord of the Flies and
Yeah,
it
it's
reminded
pretty-
me
yeah.
of that. It reminded me of just like a more teen adapted version of that. But the movie was incredible too.
Yeah. I mean that was one of my favorite series.
Yeah, that was definitely good. Did you read the Maze Runner shit?
No, and I don't know why. Like there's a couple of like books that are like classics that I'm like I really should read that. But
I watched the movie and I thought the movie was so good.
yeah,
And,
the movie was really good.
I was surprised by it because I think I watched it just like because there was nothing else on and I was like, damn, this is actually crazy.
But that's like The Giver is one of my all-time favorite books, but I won't watch that movie.
You didn't
I will
watch it
not.
at all?
No.
See, I thought the movie was really good because I also liked the book because I remember that was like one of your
Yeah.
favorites. And I remember when we read it in school, I remember like talking to you about it. I
Yeah.
still have the same copy, but the book or the movie was actually not bad. But I know it wouldn't do any justice. But I mean, there's only a few that do justice. Like I still love the Outsiders movie
Yeah,
more than the
The
book.
Outsiders is great.
It's incredible. But okay, so those books, I mean, 3 fantasy, whatever.
Yeah.
That's
And The
good.
Dark Tower, like I read it when I was in the Navy and I had nothing but time because it's huge. It's Stephen King.
Yeah.
And it's like it's massive.
Did you watch that?
the Dark Tower movie? Yeah.
Was
It's-
that good?
It was good. It was really good. But it was not the books. So
Okay.
the whole thing with the books is like I don't want to give away the end of it, but everything's always redoing. Like
Yeah.
everything's recycling. So it's a recycle of the timeline. So it's
okay.
and it was brilliant to do it like that. I don't think they did it quite right, but it was really smart to do it the way they did.
Do you like the way Stephen King writes?
Yeah, anything. I don't read his horror because I'm a big baby, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But his writing, I think, is awesome. Like I loved the Green Mile. I read.
I never read the book, but I love the movie so
Yeah,
much.
the book was fantastic.
I hate that he's so descriptive and vivid just because it adds so much. Like I went to read, I read like 350 pages of it
Oh yeah, and I'm
and I got to, I remember the one, he was like describing what was on a fucking table
Yeah.
for like 10 pages.
Jason loves that. Jason loves Stephen King. That's like his.
Oh yeah, he
wheelhouse.
reads a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, he used to. He doesn't so much anymore. He reads a series called Isaac Bell. I can't remember the author.
I don't know what that is.
But Isaac Bell like took place in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
And one of the first books I listened to it on my drives, and there was like chapters of him like driving this old ass car across the country.
Yeah.
But it was like describing like how he had to like turn this knob and watch this meter and do this.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, just tell me he gets there.
Yeah,
I don't
for
need
sure.
all of this. But sometimes the tedious is good. Like the
Yeah.
Dark Tower, the tedious is the whole point of it. But sometimes it's just tedious.
Yeah. All right, so that's good. Now the third category is things to listen to.
This is where it gets difficult. I've changed this one a bunch of times too, but I think one of the first CDs I remember having is Tracy Bird, No Ordinary Man. And I believe I took it from my dad. Like I feel like he had it in his car and I took
Yeah.
it. So I would have to probably take that one because it's just it holds up. It's a good
Yeah.
CD. I would probably do Sugar Ray 1459.
Really?
Oh man, that's like either that or Smash Mouth. I go back and forth by the day on which one of those.
Is that the one with what's the hit?
Fly?
Yeah.
That's that one.
Yeah, I had
and it
that.
has Abracadabra on there. It has all that like weird stuff on it. But
Wow.
that was my high school life. Like,
What's
that
his
was
name?
Mark McGrath.
Mark McGrath, that's
Yep.
it. I wanted to say Mark Summer, but he's What Would You Do?
Yeah, he is, which is also part of my childhood, but whatever.
That's a good one then. Yeah, that's a good one. Sugar Ray.
Yeah, you could jam to that. It's
Never,
pretty good.
no one has ever said that on here.
Yeah.
What about the third one?
The third one? I'd like to take something newer. Right now, I'm listening to Walker Hayes. He has an album out.
I don't know who that is.
He's country, but he's not like really country.
Yeah.
It's really like You Broke Up With Me.
I don't know. I don't listen to any country.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not like
Is he the light skinned dude
no,
that's a country artist?
no. You probably wouldn't know him to see him.
okay.
He's pretty obscure. I go back and forth because Jason's a rock guy, so
Yeah.
I like a lot of rock. I like Five Finger Death Punch. I didn't like Disturbed for a long time, but they're growing on me. Like Jason listens to it, so it's just one of those things
Yeah,
you're in
yeah,
the car. But I love the Bobby Bones Show. It's my morning talk show. Not talk show, but radio show.
Yeah.
And it's a country show. So
okay.
it just kind of gets snuck in there on me.
Yeah, because that was like, I mean, you definitely were like a country for a while. For a long time.
I got really disgusted with the bro country stuff, like Jason
yeah.
Aldean, Luke Brown, all that like
what's his name? Sam
Hunt.
Sam Hunt.
I don't not like their music, but I hate the
But it's like pop music.
yeah.
That's all it is.
It's just garbage.
Do you know who Wheeler Walker is?
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, the yee.
He's always on all kinds of podcasts,
Yeah.
like all these different comedians that I listen to. He's one of my favorite guests.
Yeah, he's funny.
I love how dry he is. Like he doesn't ever like laugh or anything, but he just says hilarious shit.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so second to last question is the death row meal. So whatever you want, however much you want, from wherever you want.
So we talked about this when I walked in the door.
Yeah, Hoots Wings.
Being from Pittsburgh, the wings here are not the same. Like, I don't want buffalo sauce all over my wings. I
Yeah.
want the seasoned salt and I want the whole wing. That's what I want.
That's it. So you want a dry seasoned salt wing, and like you're living in Texas now. So what's the like? You said you can't find it down
You
there.
can't get whole wings there. Like, there's nowhere that I've seen has it. You can get the seasoned salt on some stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you go to Buffalo Wild Wings and they have the like Chipotle barbecue stuff, which is a dry rub, and it's
Yeah.
pretty good. That's usually my go-to. But to get like just the seasoned salt, it's really hard.
Yeah, I didn't know that was like not a thing anywhere else.
Yeah, for sure.
You probably got all kinds of good food down there, barbecue wise and everything, huh?
It's really, I mean, there's some, but Amarillo's different. Like, they like their chain restaurants. They like they like what they like, and that's just
Yeah,
what they like.
that's just what they like.
Yeah.
So what would you eat?
I would, if it was Amarillo,
No. I mean,
for
like
my death row.
You had wings.
So I got the
but, like,
wings. I would
can't
do
have to be other
probably do some Italian wedding soup, like really good Italian wedding soup.
Yeah.
And I would probably make my mom make stuffed cabbage.
stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
Aunt Donna's stuffed cabbage is so good.
It's legit. Like,
That's legit. That's a good
probably
one.
would happen.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a
And
good
then
choice.
Dessert, I've learned to love Bluebell ice cream.
Bluebell.
Bluebell, it's from Texas. It's a Texas thing. You could get it other places. You can't get it here, I don't think.
Bluebell.
Bluebell.
Maybe not. I don't know if I've ever had that. What flavor?
One of the cookie dough ones.
Oh, yeah.
They make a couple of them. They have a Christmas in July cookie. Like it's like cookie dough, but so good.
I like all that trash.
So do I. That's why I'm
That's
not
why-
skinny.
That's why we're all the same. All right, so that's death row meal. And the last question that I ask everyone is, if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
And I think about this one a lot too. And I think at this point in my life, I would really like to talk to Hillary Clinton.
Oh, yeah?
I think for her to be on the edge of everything, to be that close to being the first woman president, and to just, because I mean, she's done a ton of stuff in her life. Stuff that people don't even acknowledge, like her coming up and like the things she did for kids, and she was this great lawyer, and all the good work she did for all those years. I think plus I love politics, you know that.
Yeah.
I majored in political science. I would hope I like it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because I've thought, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I think would be cool as shit. Like, She's amazing. Susan B. Anthony, that would be. I mean, there's people
that would be cool.
I would love to talk to so many people, but I think right now, right in this moment, it would be Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton. Yeah. I mean, like, I just don't share, like, politics. I have no love for politics because, like, I have no dog in any fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just never paid attention to it. I try to pay attention to it now just because I'm an adult. And, like, I feel like you have
You're
to,
gonna be
like,
paying taxes.
yeah, you have to have, like, some sort of, like, I never voted before. I registered to vote. Like,
it's hard. It's not like you have to, like, there's so much information and there's so much opinion that you have to wade through all this bullshit.
Well, that's what's messed up about it is it's like I've talked about this before. Like, I've never voted because I never felt that my vote was. I never felt that I was educated enough to be able to give, an educated decision. Like, if I have one guy that is one or women, one person that says something that I agree with, where I'm like, yeah, like, I like that. There's 10 things that I disagree with. And then if the other person has something that I disagree with, they might have a couple things that I do agree with. So it's like, you have to find the lesser of two evils with everything. But now it's like, I think with podcasts and like, the reason I don't even listen to music anymore really, but like I hear about shit on podcasts, and I feel like on podcasts is where it's almost like it's like a coffee filter.
Yeah.
It's like all the shit that's on TV is so opinionated, and like there's definitely agendas. Like there's videos where where news anchors say the same exact thing, and you're just like, kind of sketchy to me. So it sours my taste towards that. But if you listen to I listen to Rogan, and like whatever people's like opinion is of him, you hear about all like the bullet points of like what's going on, and he kind of, I feel, does a good point. He does like a good job of kind of giving both sides and playing devil's advocate, and then like being able to chew up everything and come out with his own decision. So like that's where I'm at in life right now.
The only political podcast that I like legitimately listen to regularly is the Well Read podcast, and it's that guy, the liberal redneck. Do you remember him from a couple years ago?
I don't think so.
So in real life, he used to work at Oak Ridge National Laboratory doing nuclear stuff. And, one of his friends was a prosecutor, and the other one's just I think he's always been a comedian. I don't know what his background is, but they're all from like backwoods, middle of nowhere places. Yeah. But they're all super liberal. Well, not super liberal. They're liberal in that like they believe in gay marriage, and they believe in reforming the criminal system and all these things. But at the same time, like they're rednecks and they want to shoot guns and they want to like do all these other things. So they're really, in my opinion, the middle of the road guys. They're who you want to go with. Yeah. They're cool and they're funny as hell. So yeah, I would recommend the Well Read podcast.
Well Read podcast. Okay. So Hillary Clinton, have a conversation with her. All right. Well, I don't know. I think this went great.
I think it's super fun.
I get nervous about interviewing people that I know because, like, my part of like this whole thing is like me being generally curious about like what people are doing. I think that like I wanted to do it right where I could cover all the shit that you've done.
Yeah.
And it's like you've done all kinds of wild shit. I think we did good with it. You have anything you want to promote?
I don't really have anything to promote. But I will say, like, donate to your local animal shelters and science centers. I have worked in so many nonprofit areas. Yeah. Like, trust me, like, the ASPCA does not need your $5. Your local shelter does. Your local, like, we're bumfuck Middle of Egypt Science Center. We have no money. The Carnegie Science Center, they're getting millions of dollars of donations. Yeah. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Find the right spots to donate to. All right, everyone that's listening, I appreciate it as always. I'll call you right back on Instagram. Follow me there. You see all kinds of shit that I post. That's pretty much where I'm active. I'll call you right back everywhere else. Email me. Let me know if you have anyone you'd like me to have on here. I always like getting suggestions. I'll call you right back at gmail.com. Let me know some feedback. I appreciate it, and I'll call you right back.